Hey guys, and we have a lot to discuss, don't we? But before we do, please make sure you smash the like button and subscribe button. We are on our way to 1K subscribers, and any help with that is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay, Canelo versus BJ Saunders, huge. I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest fights of the year. It really is. I think if the AJ Fury fight doesn't happen, arguably this will be the biggest fight of the year. I mean, there's a lot to unravel here, so let's very briefly touch upon what I'm sure everyone knows, which is there was this whole drama around the ring size. I think, Billy Joe Saunders even, sorry, wasn't happy with Eddie Hearn and the way he's been treated. Apparently, they had to pay for all their own flights for the team to come in, etc. No fans from the UK have been able to come over, and also he was expecting it to be, I think it was like 10,000. But instead, it's going to be something like 70,000 people there at the AT&T. So crazy to think about. He wasn't happy because that wasn't reflected in his purse, the new crowd, and then also they had this issue with the ring, which I thought was really bizarre. And I don't know if you guys thought this as well, but from what I know and what everyone's been saying, a 20-foot ring is standard. Now, against Callum Smith, and BJ even said this, Canelo fought against Callum Smith in a 20-foot ring. Now, apparently Mathroom had said actually it will be 18 foot, which is not great because that is smaller and Billy Joe's a mover, so I understand that. So he wasn't happy with that. Went back to Mathroom. Mathroom said, yeah, 20 foot, fine, we'll get up to 20 foot. Now, even after that, Billy Joe was like, no, I want at least 22. And his reasoning in the interview was, I've been training in a 24-foot ring. I've got to be honest with you. Now, I actually like BJ in terms of his character. I do think he seems like a genuinely nice guy. He just is a bit all over the place and crazy at times, like genuinely just a nutcase at times. But in terms of what he said there, that I just thought to myself, but that's your own fault. Like, why have you trained in a 24-foot ring? Like, if you know the standard is 20 foot and you've never fought in a ring that's over 20 foot, which apparently he hasn't, according to Eddie and also others. I mean, his reasoning was, oh, because it's going to be in a huge stadium, he was expecting the ring to be bigger rather than a phone booth. I mean, look, it was bizarre. I don't know whether it was, as people are saying, it was a little bit of mind games and also just trying to answer to Canelo, etc. But to be honest with you, so apparently it went from 18 to 20, then 21 because Eddie kind of like compromised at 21. And then I think basically Eddie didn't want to talk to Canelo about it. Then he just went to Canelo after BJ pushed back again and said, no, I want 22. And Canelo was like, yeah, whatever, like I'll fight him at 22, no problem. So, which is good because I think, look, if the fight didn't go ahead because of ring size, that would have been the most ridiculous and ludicrous thing I've ever heard of. But it just seems to me that yes, I agree that to start off with, it shouldn't have been 18 foot anyways. But when I went up to 20, I'm thinking that's pretty normal. The fact that Billy Joe's then demanded it be bigger than that just because he's trained in a bigger ring is really bizarre. But I don't know. Either way, that should have been in the contract. That was strange that it wasn't because clearly it's become an issue. But luckily, it's been resolved. Billy Joe hadn't done any media until until now, really, where they did the face off. But before that, hasn't done anything really, and the lead up, just because there were all these disputes going on, even crazy to think of, and I mean, I don't know whether it's mind games or not, but either way, he's got his way, 22 foot, and Canelo is saying, yeah, it's fine. So clearly he doesn't really care. And that should help Billy Joe in a way because he's a mover and clearly will need that extra space, or that extra space will help him anyway in his game plan, which will be to box and move, which I think most people think will happen. Some say he might even do the Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder too and come forward, but I think Wilder's chin in comparison to Canelo, if we talk about in that weight class, Canelo's chin is ridiculous. I mean, he's withstood Golovkin, and I think I'd be very surprised. Let's say that. But then so are people about Tyson Fury against Deontay Wilder, and he did it. So who knows? Let's see. Either way, though, that's good. Then there was also an issue with the judges that there's no English judges, and they wanted an English judge, an American judge, and a Mexican judge. But then Canelo said, "Well, I'm not actually American, so it shouldn't matter if they're American judges. But to be fair, on this one, I kind of side with Billy Joe and the team because Canelo's got some very favourable decisions for a number of years. And Texas is on the border of Mexico. And it's just the case that, unfortunately, there is this well-known thing in boxing that you can't beat Canelo on points. There are a couple of fights which probably should have lost and didn't because the judges were very biased in his favor. Adelaide Bird, but yeah, I think I think just in general, it's just crazy. Okay, on to the actual fight and also what's been happening. So the face-off did happen. Billy Joe faced off with Canelo. But before that happened, actually, and whilst they were sorting out the ring issue, there was an altercation between Billy Joe Saunders' team and also Canelo. A couple of swear words being flown around, which I'm not going to repeat. But basically, they were, I guess, taunting Canelo about the ring, and then Canelo came back, basically calling him an effing and blinding. And yeah, it wasn't. It was strange to see because you don't normally see Canelo get riled up. Normally, he's very calm and he just kind of lets it go and doesn't really care. And that's kind of the vibe that I thought we were going to see from Canelo. But him and his team, and maybe it's a case of a lot of people have said that, look, most of the time when you get in with Canelo, you've almost beaten yourself because you're so respectful and it's like, oh, thank you for the opportunity, blah, blah, blah. And people are like, oh, it's such an honor to fight the pound for pound king, etc. And they almost beat themselves because of Canelo's reputation when they get in the ring. And there was that, I guess, aura around someone like Mike Tyson when he was there that people used to say, you know, you'd go into the ring, but they were already beat because they see Mike Tyson walk into the ring and they'd basically poo themselves, or they would be in awe of Mike Tyson and think we don't have a chance, and they would respect him too much. With Mike Tyson, it was a bit different because that was fear. With Canelo, I think it's more, wow, this guy is just unbelievable in terms of his skill set. But I don't think, well, I know for a fact Billy Joe does respect him as a boxer, but in terms of the whole issue around, oh, you know what, I'm going to show him the ultimate respect, like that's not going to happen. And I think that's fair enough. So, yeah, I mean, clearly they've tried to rile him, and it has worked because I've seen some interviews with Eddie Reynoso, and he said he's not happy with it. Like, you know, the lack of respect is not great, blah, blah, blah. So, fine. Let's see, man. Let's see. I genuinely am of the thinking that Billy Joe's doing a Tyson Fury almost here, where he's trying to get into Canelo's head. I didn't think it would be possible, but to be honest with you, they got to the face-off, and Billy Joe was saying, yeah, they was stood head to head. Billy Joe in a Versace pajamas or gown, if you want to say it, which is quite funny, and Canelo obviously in his normal CA tracksuit, and BJ said, "Oh, you never fought a gypsy, right? You never fought someone like me." And Canelo's like just shaking his head, like, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." And then he goes and he says, "You love the beef, don't you? You love the Mexican beef." So obviously, talking about the clenbuterol issue, where no, Canelo supposedly ate tainted meat, right? So, and that's why he tested positive for PEDs, got banned for 6 months, and he goes, "Yeah, you love it, don't you?" And you know, Canelo's shaking his head, going, "Yeah, yeah, whatever." And he goes, "Yes, you love the Mexican beef, don't you? You love it. It's juicy, yeah." And Canelo goes, "Yeah, yeah, you'll see how much I love it on Saturday." And I'm just like, okay, and you can tell it's getting really heated, and then Billy Joe's like taunting him, and they're getting close, and you're like, okay, you know what, this could get quite bad. But they take them away, and Billy Joe's like, "Yeah, go on, walk away, etc." And you can just tell that Canelo is annoyed. He's really, really annoyed, and he's definitely got under his skin. And I don't know, it's difficult because some people, when you get under their skin, it's a good thing because mentally it messes with them. Like I think Fury with Deontay Wilder, Fury with Klitschko definitely helped. But there are some people like Pulev got under AJ's skin, for example, and that didn't help him because Anthony Joshua just came out and was like switched on, like I'm gonna knock you out, and it was just carnage in there, right? And I think that gave it an extra edge even. So does Canelo go the AJ route where he's going to take it on and it's going to give him extra fire and extra motivation, or is it going to be a case of actually, yeah, that's going to be in the back of his head, right? And I think Canelo predicted a third round KO or something, and Billy Joe said, "Yeah, once we're in the third round, I'm going to say to him, what's going on? Like, I thought you were going to KO me now, etc. So clearly, there's going to be a lot of this. We still have the press conference, the weigh-in as well, and obviously fighting on Saturday. So a lot to look forward to. I'm really, really looking forward to this fight. It's going to be an absolute cracker. And just to throw everything out of whack even more and throw another person into the mix, you got Tyson Fury now in the mix, which is just crazy. So Tyson Fury's there with Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know whether AJ's there. I swear I saw him before that he was going to be watching the fight. I'm not sure. But I wouldn't be surprised. And then apparently might get the announcement for AJ Fury. But I don't want to touch upon that too much because that's just an ongoing thing, which is getting tiresome, to be honest with you. Until it gets announced, let's just leave it there. But Tyson Fury looks in good shape, and also he's going to be riling. He was, shouting Billy Joe Saunders' name when Canelo's team was walking past him when he was doing an interview. So, look, it's definitely heating up. There's a lot of tension around, you can tell, but it's going to be an absolute cracker. I cannot wait to see how. I mean, are we going to see Billy Joe Saunders step up to the plate? Someone who really has stepped up against David Lemieux, Andy Lee, but these guys are not elite fighters like Canelo. Does he have another level to his game that he can tap into? Are we going to see that? And if so, is that going to be enough? And number two, he's in fantastic shape. So is that going to help him, or is it not going to help him? Maybe some people, when they are in such good shape, their bodies actually are not used to it. And training for that long, could he potentially overtrained? You don't know. Or is Canelo just going to be too good for him? Can he win a decision in the US, in Texas, right, with the judges? There's so many questions to be answered. I really am looking forward to it. I'm hoping it's going to be an exciting fight. I really do. And I think the fact that the ring is going to be slightly bigger, I don't know how much of an advantage that gives, to be honest with you. I guess it gives Billy Joe a slight advantage. But if I was to give a percentage chance, I'd probably say we're looking at 70-30 Canelo, probably, I would say. Although the more that I get to fight week and the more I listen to Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo, etc., the more I actually think Billy Joe might be able to do it. Let's see. It's going to be a cracker. I am really looking forward to it. Guys, please do remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, please do check out my interviews as well with pro boxers. It's under the playlist boxing interviews if you haven't already. There may be some interviews of interest to you there. And on top of that, yeah, that's what I got to cover. I guess the last thing is, which I didn't really cover it at all, was Andy Ruiz, and I'll cover that just very, very briefly. Obviously, made his comeback, lost a lot of weight, looked in better shape. People saying maybe did he lose punch resistance because Chris Arreola knocked him down, but I just think it was a case of ring rust, and also Chris Arreola did look the best he'd ever looked, to be fair. So, yeah, he was definitely up for it. I think Andy Ruiz will still be a player at heavyweight, so hopefully we do get to see him more and also improving. And I would like to see him against someone like Luis Ortiz next. Why not? Okay, thank you very much, guys. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.